All right, let's jump right in. What we've got here isn't just some dusty old story. No, this is a high-stakes family thriller. It's packed with secrets, guilt, and a desperate fight for survival that honestly feels like it was ripped right out of a Hollywood script. So the story kicks off in this incredibly tense moment. The family patriarch, Jacob, just looks at his sons and asks, "Why do ye look one upon another?" Can you just feel that? Their food is running out. His sons are just paralyzed with fear, and he hits them with this simple but totally cutting question. They're staring into the abyss, and nobody has a clue what to do next. And that really brings us to the core question of this whole saga. I mean, what would you do if your family's survival, everything, depended on a single, dangerous journey into the complete unknown? It's all about desperation, right? When starvation is literally at your door, what lines are you willing to cross to save the people you love? Okay, so let's paint the picture here. The land of Canaan is in the grip of a severe famine. We're talking barren fields, empty green silos. This isn't just a tough spot, it's a full-blown existential crisis. And the only whisper of hope, the only rumor of food, is coming from the powerful kingdom of Egypt. So the choice is pretty stark, isn't it? You either risk a journey into a foreign land, or you stay home and starve. So they come up with a plan. 10 of the brothers are going to make this perilous trip to Egypt to buy grain. But, and this is a huge but, their father, Jacob, puts his foot down. The youngest son, Benjamin, has to stay home. See, Jacob's already lost one favorite son, Joseph, years ago, and he's terrified of losing another. So the 10 of them set off with absolutely no idea, no clue at all, that they're walking right into a trap laid by their own history. So they finally get to Egypt, and they're immediately brought before this incredibly powerful figure. We're talking the second in command of the entire kingdom, the governor, the guy who controls all the food. Suddenly, their lives, their family's survival, it's all in this one man's hands. And what do? They bow. They get down on the ground, showing total submission. And this is where the story just flips on its head. It's a moment of pure, jaw-dropping, dramatic irony. Because the governor looks down at these 10 desperate men begging for food, and he knows exactly who they are. But them? They have no idea. They're literally bowing down to their own brother, Joseph, the very same brother they sold into slavery 2 decades ago. Unbelievable. So you'd think this would be a simple transaction, right? Buy some food, go home. Nope. Instead, Joseph, disguised and speaking through an interpreter, hits them with a bombshell accusation. He calls them spies. Just like that. Their desperate mission to find food has suddenly turned into a fight for their lives against a charge of espionage, which, back then, was a death sentence. You can just imagine the panic. The brothers are scrambling, trying to defend themselves. No, we're not spies. We are true men. We're just one family. And in this frantic attempt to clear their names, they accidentally give Joseph the exact information he was fishing for. They tell him their father is still alive and that their youngest brother, Benjamin, is back home, safe. So does Joseph believe them? Nope. Or at least he pretends not to. He wants to turn up the heat, to really put them to the test. So he does something completely shocking. He throws all 10 of them in prison for 3 whole days. Just lets them sit there in the dark, contemplating their fate. All right, so on day 3, Joseph lays out his terms. And it's an absolutely impossible ultimatum. He tells them, okay, you can go. You can take food back to your starving families. But there's a catch, a huge one. One of you has to stay here as a hostage. And the only way you can prove you're not spies and free your brother is to come back with the one person you know your father will never let you take, Benjamin. The pressure is just too much. The brothers' resolve completely shatters. And thinking no one can understand them, they start talking to each other. And for the first time, their guilt comes pouring out. They connect the dots. They say this is happening to us because of what we did to our brother. They're convinced this is divine payback for selling Joseph into slavery, that justice is finally catching up. But here's the thing. This cruel Egyptian governor, he understands every single word they're saying. And hearing them confess, hearing them admit their guilt after all this time, it just hits him like a ton of bricks. He's so overcome with emotion that he has to literally turn away from them and weep so they don't see him. And that moment tells us everything, doesn't it? This isn't just cold, calculated revenge. This is deeply, deeply personal. So he pulls himself together, puts the mask of the harsh governor back on, and walks back in. And he makes his threat very, very real. He singles out one brother, Simeon, and has him tied up right there in front of everyone. Think about that contrast. It's a calculated, cruel move, coming just moments after he was secretly weeping. The message is crystal clear. This is not a bluff. So the 9 remaining brothers start the long, miserable journey home. Yeah, their sacks are full of grain, but their hearts are just heavy with dread. They have the food, but they've left Simeon behind, and now they have to face their father with this impossible demand. And you know how it goes. Just when they think things absolutely cannot get any worse, well, they do. So they're on the road, they stop for the night, and one of the brothers opens up his sack to feed his donkey. So what do you think he finds inside? It's not just grain. Sitting right on top is his money, all of it, every single piece of silver he paid with. Now this is not a good thing. This isn't a refund. This is terrifying, because now it looks like they're not just spies, they're also thieves. It feels like a total frame-up. And whatever fear they had before, it just turned into pure paranoia. And the situation goes from bad to worse when they get home. They start emptying their sacks in front of their father, and guess what? Every single one of them finds his pouch of money. The text says their heart failed them. They were terrified. To them, this was proof that even God was now working against them. So they have to tell their old father, Jacob, everything. And what a story it is. They tell him about the harsh governor, about being accused as spies, and then they drop the bombshell, the governor's demand that they bring Benjamin back with them. Oh, and by the way, Simeon is now a hostage in an Egyptian prison, and his life is on the line. And Jacob, he just breaks. It's a moment of absolute, crushing despair. He doesn't see them as his sons bringing bad news. He sees them as the reason for all his suffering. He's just seeing this awful pattern. Joseph is gone, now Simeon is gone, and they want to take Benjamin, the only thing he feels he has left. To him, it's like the whole world is conspiring against him. Reuben, the eldest brother, is desperate to fix this. He makes this absolutely wild, almost horrifying pledge to his father. He says, "You can kill my own 2 sons if I don't bring Benjamin back safely." I mean, think about that. He's offering up his own children as collateral. That just shows you how completely dire the situation has become. But Jacob, he's not having it. His grief is just too raw. He flatly refuses. "My son shall not go down with you," he says. For him, Benjamin is the last link to his beloved wife, Rachel. And he ends with this gut-wrenching line, that if anything happens to Benjamin, they'll be sending him to his grave in sorrow. So the family is stuck at a total impasse. Simeon is locked up, the famine is raging, and their father refuses to give in. And that's where we leave them, with this huge hanging question. Because, you see, this family isn't just battling a famine. They're being haunted by a crime from 20 years ago. So the real test here isn't about finding more grain. It's about this. When a family is so fundamentally broken by guilt and secrets, can it ever truly be healed?